Welcome everyone to another virtual experience event. So excited to welcome you to this event and so excited to welcome you to the debut of Another World in ALTSPACE. ALTSPACE world builders are amazing. We just came from the exhibition hall and Marc built the most amazing exhibition hall. It is so awesome. And now we're in this auditorium that is just breathtaking. Barcelona Auditorium. So I just want to say welcome, and I just want to say the Univirtual Experience is a partnership between Educators in VR and Virtual World Society. And together, they are literally bringing together experts and innovators in immersive education, disrupting education around the world. And you guys that are participating in these Univirtual Experience events are pioneers as well. And so you're helping to pave the way for what will be immersive education in the future. I just want to take a moment to thank sponsors. This is a 30-day adventure, over 160 events, over 19 platforms. And this doesn't happen without sponsors and volunteers. So I just want to acknowledge a couple of sponsors right now. It is our absolute honor that our Infinity sponsor is HP Virtual Reality and HP Higher Education. Our supporting this event in a huge way. They've just released a new edition of the HP Reverb G2. And I will say one of our speakers today is actually using the HP Reverb G2. So that's so exciting. Now, this device was designed perfectly for higher ed with pulse and eye monitoring and testing, and other innovations excellent for precision controls research and development. You can find out more about HP and about the schedule for Univirtual at educatorsinvr.com. You can also visit hp.com to find out more about HP Virtual Reality and HP Higher Education. Our Galaxy sponsors, I'm just going to close the introduction with this. Our Galaxy sponsors are Engage VR. I hope you've been attending some of the mind-blowing events that have been happening over in Engage, and there's still more to come, so please check the schedule. And Aventis Education. Aventis Education is sponsoring the Euphoria nightclub that Marc built for social experiences during the virtual experience. So please check the calendar for those events. And without further ado, I am actually going to pass the mic over to Jose. Jose, you can take it away for this. I'm so excited for this next panel. Thank you, Jose.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. This is another Univirtual Experience. We are the XR Medical and Healthcare Team project from the Educators in VR. And tonight or today, depending on where you are, we're presenting this very interesting platform. It's Ludus. It's a Spanish company. They've been presenting with us before, and they're going to do another presentation with some new things that they've been developing. It's part of our goal to bring to you these experiences and projects about education in the medical field using VR. And they are going to talk about the Ludus company. We have here Marc Bellas and John Marti. And John is the CEO and Marc is the VR designer. And I'm going to give you the word and then you can start the presentation. Thank you.
Super. Hello, everyone. Hello. I hope that. Okay, I think that you can. Everyone can hear us right now. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for being here. As Jose says, we came from Ludus. I'm John Martinez. I'm the CEO and co-founder of the company, and here with me is Marc Bellas. Is one of the guys that makes our simulation and our software to make finally sense, because he's the guy who designed all the experience for the users, align the technical skills with the training skills needed in order to make good training software. And I want to mention that Marc is with here today after suffering a bit stomach illness. So thank you, Marc, for being here with us.
Thank you, John.
And we are going to talk to you guys about how are we doing things in VR, how are we developing training in VR. As you know, it's a world that evolves pretty quickly. I mean, as Donat told you before, I'm right now using the River headset for this talk. That is the one that you can see there in these pictures. It's a pretty new device, but also as everything that is pretty new, it's really good, but maybe but you need to adapt. And this happens with everything in this world, with the devices, but also with the software sides and also with the companies. We as a company have been adapting over the last years in order to present to you guys the company that we have today. We offer an on-demand platform for training, and we are really focused on HSE. I mean, on how to make that the people can train better and can do the work in a safer way. We are based mainly on Spain. Also, we are opening different teams across the states and especially in Latam right now. But our main operations right now are in Europe, and we are pretty much focused on health and safety trainings. We are doing also maybe other kind of trainings, but especially we are doing health and safety trainings. We have a really skilled team. We couldn't make this kind of trainings without the team, and we are going to talk in this brief presentation. We are going to explain you how we put our team to work in order to make successful trainings in virtual reality. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of Ludus and how we evolved as a company. We started when the virtual reality was a really nice thing into the future, but in those moments they weren't ready for going to production or to use in a company, because the first device headsets weren't as good as the ones that we have today. With this primitive first generation of developer kits, we identified that, okay, we cannot put this on a company right now in order to let them train, but we can develop the other side. I mean, there are two big sides when you are going to do a training solution in VR. In one hand, you have the hardware, and on the other hand, you have the software. And we could work in the software during we let the manufacturers enough time in order to build these incredible devices that we have today. So we started doing tailor-made projects with different companies in different situations that were okay to develop a training. We developed trainings, for example, with Ford Motor Company in order to let them know better how to assure the machinery before to enter to work with it. Or for example, Marc, maybe you can talk a little bit about the works that we have done with BASF, for example.
For BASF, which is a German-based company, we did a kind of a simulation where the trainees utilize the simulation to train like a fluid transfer from tank to tank, from drum to drum, drum to IBC container. There were several kinds of hazmat. For instance, we had like peroxide. We have I don't know, benzol. Many flammable, toxic, corrosive, many different kinds of products, and they use that tool to better understand the process and practice in a safety environment.
Yeah, and for example, with the ThyssenKrupp, we develop for them an ad hoc simulation so they can get in hand with an elevator and train how to open, how to access to the pit, how to access to the car top of an elevator in a safe way through VR. All these trainings were really well done experiences. They use it in order to train their people, but we find in this approach a big issue for us as a company. And this issue was that all the value that we were doing remains on those companies, and we cannot spread this value among other companies. So what we did last year was to change the approach of the company and to put all the knowledge that the people in the company has for doing virtual reality training, especially in health and safety, and create products that can serve across industry and across companies in a platform way. I mean, we develop an on-demand training solution. The companies can access to the platform and choose and standardize the training like the one that we are going to see today. That is a CPR training procedure that is pretty standard across any kind of companies. And the good thing about this is that we are now developing for hundreds of companies instead than developing for one single company. So we can put more love and more effort on one single product that is going to serve to a lot of people. And this is a way in that we can really help wider communities and have more impact. This change wasn't easy because for us it was like a good thing to have one big contractor, because finally you have just one company that you are working with, so it makes the things really easy. The feedback only comes from one side, but at the same time it was making us to do poor products because you only have feedback from one side. So when we changed to this approach, we started to see things like we finally have enough variety on our customers, so they can give us proper feedback in order to get a better products and in order to evolve our products. One thing that we identified in this time working with different companies is that there are different kind of landscapes in VR. There are people doing great things, for example, in live events or in broadcast systems or in systems like this, like the ALTSPACE, in that we can connect with a lot of different people and give a slideshow like this one. But there aren't so many people focusing on how to enhance the training, especially in HEC. So we started to creating a wide variety of catalog on that field. But we also identified that some of the products that we were doing would be cross landscape or cross category. For example, I'm going back to the product that we are going to talk today, the CPR training procedure that we started specifically for the industry, but right now it's been more used in a health and safety field than in the industry, because as I told you before, it's a common matter. It's something that can be used or make sense for a lot of different kind of people, and this was pretty interesting. The last thing about Ludus, before talking about the CPR product, I want to let you know what kind of users do we have, so you can have a better understanding of who we are. We have a first layer of users that are people that perform trainings to other companies. These are companies that their business is to help others to get the work done in a better way. Maybe you know some of them. The second layer are companies that they have their own purposes, they made their own products, but in this process they need to train their people. I mean, they need to get the people do the things in a safer way. So we are helping them through VR. Obviously, everyone that is in this room knows what VR can put on the table in order to help people learning. And the third layer it's one layer that we haven't identified in the very beginning, but finally it makes a lot of sense, that are educational centers. Specific as we are working with these kind of centers, specifically in Spain, that are centers that teach people how to perform in different kind of roles in a company. And through VR, they are getting a taste of how it's going to be to work in a company before going there. I think that this is not news for any of you. I mean, if you are here, probably it's because you are interested in VR, but this slide is like the resume of why are we here working on Ludus. And there are a lot of bibliography and studies that back up that idea, that finally we retain pretty much of the knowledge that we acquire by doing. I mean, active learning works, and it's pretty well documented, but till now in certain industries they cannot do this way, because you need a lot of things that you cannot use easily. For example, a production line in a factory. Through VR, we let them train by doing, and we learn we let them fail, experiment, and apprehend knowledge through the experience, and that makes pretty common. That makes sense for our customers, especially right now that we are offering them generic simulation. So right now I'm gonna talk you about this specific product. We are really proud of that. It's a CPR training product, and it's a product that maybe 1 year ago we didn't think about, but we are going to talk you how we discovered this necessity and how we perform the process of creating this kind of trainings. The very first step was that a medical team in Spain revealed us this need of a CPR training. We didn't know anything about the medical field. I mean, we are technologists, we are training builders, we are not doctors. But these guys comes to us and says, hey, okay, we have a problem. We have an issue with the CPR trainings that we are performing. Marc, maybe can you give us like an idea of what are the issues that they have with the traditional CPR trainings?
Yeah, sure. Well, the kind of user that we find within that field is that they needed kind of a training tool, giving some motivation for the trainers, lacking also some of like realism, but within the safety frame. I mean, for instance, working with a safety environment that is not going to damage anybody, or that everything is safe. They were also looking for something that creates like a stressful environment, atmosphere for the trainers, and so on. What else? They were looking for kind of a psychological block, so the trainee can feel that stress, and such as the events that happen in the real life when they are bystanders, and they find somebody having like a heart attack on the street, and that. What else? Well, trainers, they of course needed to have something that was easy to transport, like and they wanted to include kind of a CPR dummy. They wanted metrics, so the product can register some of the CPR deep and rhythm within. Also include a lot of diversity, instructional diversity, such as, I don't know, different scenarios, different training possibilities, defibrillators happening to appear, happening to disappear. I don't know what else. Maybe they were also looking for real-time features, like for instance, characters that in the middle of the CPR procedure they reacted like in a nervous manner, or they trying to annoy the user. So yeah, basically they were trying to find a way to have their students being under that stress that helps them to better understand what like the real situation during CPR should be. Yeah,
That's just the point. The stress. When they come to us, they told us, okay, the people that we are teaching how to perform a CPR procedure, we cannot put them in a real situation. I mean, we cannot produce them the stress needed in order to perform in these situations, because finally we are doing, they told us that they were doing like, we are like, they were in a room like this one, but in real life, with a mannequin on the floor, and telling the people, okay, so you imagine that this mannequin is not a mannequin, it's an actual guy or girl that is feeling a heart attack. How do you perform? So it wasn't as real as it needed to be. So we tell them, okay, maybe we can do something like that and bring the VR in play, so we can enhance this need that you have. The way that we approach to this kind of trainings was, okay, we are going to sit down with you, and we are going to check everything that you need in order to make a good training, forgetting about the VR. I mean, later on, we will take about VR and how we can solve this problem with VR, but the first thing that we need is to understand the problem. Probably, when we understand the problem, we can put VR to solve it, but the first thing that we need is to focus on the problem. So we talk with them a lot about what are the things that they need in terms of performing the CPR procedure, in terms of flexibility, doing this kind of procedures, and also in terms of variability. I mean, there are a lot of things that can change from one situation to another. Some things that are pretty obvious. I mean, it's not the same if you have a child or if you have an adult in order to perform a CPR procedure. So there are some things that can change, but there are also some things that you need to adapt within the performer. I mean, for example, when you got somebody on the floor, if he has hair or if he has a necklace, the situation could be completely different. Or if you have a defibrillator without batteries, so something like that can happen in real life. No, so you need to be aware. And right now we know this. We have this knowledge within the team. But when we affront this kind of training, we talk to the doctors and we say to them, okay, you need to give us all this knowledge prior to work on that. Once we have all this knowledge or at least an idea of this knowledge in the company, we look inside and we tell, okay, with the team that we have, can we try to produce a proper training? And I mean, this is important because we as a company should be honest with this kind of developments. I mean, VR is a really good tool to solve a lot of trainings, but it's not the solution for everything. I mean, there are some kind of trainings that makes completely sense in VR, and there are other kind of trainings that doesn't make sense in VR, and it's better to try an approach with other technology, especially in these stages of the VR, because everything that we as developers make that doesn't work, it's like shooting in our feet. I mean, it's not good for the business. So after evaluating all the challenges that will require to us to make a CPR training solution, we take on the challenges. And when I say we take on the challenges, I mean there were a lot of challenges beyond the CPR procedure. The first one for us was understanding that this wasn't hard skills training. I mean, it wasn't enough to make a training that step by step told somebody how to perform a CPR. We need to put this trainee on under pressure and get from him or her the feedback in order to perform these kind of situations. But this was maybe the easiest way, because once that we realized that, Marc's team prepare all the environments and all the scenarios in order to get this working. One of the hardest was probably that one. Marc, maybe you want to talk to them why this was such important and all the headaches that we have with the hand tracking systems.
Yeah, a lot of headache, yeah, actually. That's something that the users needed within the realism. They wanted to. We actually realized that using the hand controls for that kind of simulations was not good, especially because, I mean, with hand controls you lose that realism doing like CPR, and also because we were aiming to use a CPR dummy. So, well, I think technical team decided to go for hand tracking. I think that was very good idea. They were, I think there was like one month fighting with the hand tracking system. Finally, they managed to get like kind of a few prototypes, and we understand that they work very well with the users. The hand tracking, we tried the vibe hand tracking, then the limb motion. We started with limb motion. Then we tried to see what was the best way to see the interactions being done. I think that we will go for that later, John. I'm not sure you have another slide, I think, explaining the silhouette and the goals.
Yeah, we are going for the interactions later.
Okay, just to say that was very difficult, and we had like a lot of usability testing, a lot of usability lab. I think John was very involved on the process. That we did a lot of meetings, and yeah, thanks to him and the rest of the team, we could manage to get a good hand tracking system for sure. Yeah.
In this case, with the hand tracking system, the main issue was that it was a necessity. I mean, as Marc told you, we cannot use the standard remote because the people need to have their hands free. We cannot use the standalone devices. So the standalone devices that has a pretty good approach on hand tracking weren't an option for us. And in this moment, with the PCVR devices, the hand tracking is not solved. So we need to develop our own systems on top of the Ultralips hardware. And with that, we finally get something that works. But when I mean something that works, I mean that the first thing that we need to take on account is that our users are not virtual reality or are not techies, are not users that they want to spend an afternoon setting up the gear. No, they need it, and they need it ready for their lessons. So we spent a lot of time doing this hand tracking system works in a proper way, polishing all the interactions. For example, I'm going to try to show you this with this hand. I think that everybody can see the hand. So, for example, I'm going close to you, Marc. Okay. So, for example, when we try to do something in VR with an optical tracking, with the hands in this position, everything works almost well. But if we try to touch somebody, putting the hands in this position, all the tracking system lose the view, the direct view of the fingers. So it went everything, and it was like a crap. And the users feel that, okay, you are losing my hand. what is happening, and we cannot avoid that. So we need to create specific algorithms and specific marks in the bodies, so the system can avoid or can work around that they don't have a direct vision of the Cs, for example. So a lot of work here in order to get the users feel well using the simulation. But another thing that we want to talk with you about is the haptic feelings. I mean, our first idea was to remove this mannequin, but we need to kill that idea and keep the mannequin. Why, Marc? Can you tell the people about why we are using the mannequin?
Well, at the end, I think using the mannequin is the best way to learn how to do the CPR procedure. I think there is a lot of years of experience, many companies using those mannequins, and I mean, well, they work very well. Also, we realize that when you use that mannequin, and even if you have that like a rhythm or something behind, you can produce pretty good CPR chest compressions. I think that's what you are looking for from my answer, I guess, John, more or less. Or
yeah, that's the thing that I want to hear, and I want people here. I mean, we came here to enhance the training, not to remove any garments. I mean, if there was something in the room that already works, like the mannequin, okay, we are going to keep it, because our idea is to give the trainers more tools, not less. So if the trainer works, what we are doing is, okay, we are going to keep the mannequin, but we are going to hide it. I mean, we are going to make the mannequin a perfectly match for the body. So when the guy in VR is training and he put on the helmet, he's going to see the body on the floor, and when he tried to touch the body, he is really touching the mannequin. So we are using actual tools to have a better trainings. I mean, not every time you need to destroy to create. You can reuse, and you can use the things that you have on the room to make a better training. Other things are all the tools that are used in order to perform a CPR simulation. We decide, and the team decide, that all these tools will be virtual. I mean, why decide that? We decide that because this gives us as a company a lot of room to improve all the procedures. I mean, we can add more and more garment, more and more tools to the training through updates, and even improve their behaviors. But the one thing that we face when we decide to do this in a virtual way was the position on all the objects, because when you are in VR, most of our users are tethered to the computers by a cord. So we need to keep them in a range, and also we need to keep all the tools handy. Marc, we have also a lot of headaches with the positioning of these tools, no?
Yeah. We had a lot of meetings, a lot of usability testing as well. And then we realized that the best way to actually produce those interactions and to make the user interacting fast was like having every single object close to his reach, and also using those goals, those silhouettes that we have seen in past slides to point out where the interaction or the next interaction should happen. I think something that virtual reality can provide to the user, and something we are using in the company, and I think it gives it's working very well. We are testing a lot with those interactions, and we are very happy because every new usability testing that we do with the customers, or when the customers are doing their training, the real trainings, we see that our work is improving those interactions, and users are like working or interacting better. So that's something that really amazes us as designers, also as developers.
Totally, totally. I just want to let you know that okay, here maybe not every time we can put some videos because there could be lag among us, but you can find videos on YouTube, for example, or on our website of how this is performing in real life. One thing that we are adding is a lot of different kind of environments. So because you can have somebody with a cardiac arrest in a street, in an airport, in a train station, in a mall, everywhere. So every situation requires a different skill of or set of soft skills. So we are making this possible. But the last thing that we want to tell you about this product is really common to everything that we develop and almost everything that everybody develop. That is the testing. The testing side for us is really, really important. I mean, it changes more often than I want to admit. It changes the approaches that we take, because finally in our labs everything works, and what the things that we do, it almost everything works. But when we put them on a real life scenario, when there are real users using the technology, we used to find some things that we have think in one way, but in real life simply doesn't work because the users are not going to use it like that way. Do you have some examples there to share about things that we have need to improve or to change in order to get a better UX here?
Oh yeah. There's actually keep iterating is very common in business in software development. So yeah, we for instance, I don't know, interactions, as I said, we started doing like white colored ghost, like silhouettes that user they point out, they were signifiers, meaning where the user should interact. We realized that those white ghosts, those white silhouettes are not perceived properly because the users they couldn't see them because actually the ground in the scenario was also kind of white, some of the scenarios. So we had to change that color to blue, and the results were amazing from the minute one. I mean, we got very good feedback on that. Yeah, and as John says, testing is very important. I really like that quote from Don Norman that he put there, that testing and more testing, and that's something we do a lot in Ludus. For instance, in this product, we have done a lot of internal testing, like usability lab, and I mean,
yeah, totally, because finally the things that we do are meant to enhance the capabilities of the trainers, and if they don't work in that way, we are doing the things wrong. So this testing happens inside our office, but also happens on the field. I mean, in this picture you can see actually this is Marc doing some testing a few weeks ago in a real hospital, trying to get a better understanding on how to evolve the product and how to make the product even better. So we do this pretty often. We are eager to get feedback every time because it helps us to make a better product. The last slide, or the last couple of slides, I just want to use them to tell you that there are a lot of things that we can do on VR. I mean, we have right now already available more than 200 exercises in different kind of trainings. But as I told you before, we are technologists. I mean, we know a lot about how to create a really high level training simulation in VR, but we are not experts in what are the needs. I mean, for example, in this case with the CPR, we didn't have a clue about the CPR procedure, or that there was a need prior to that. Team of doctors came to us asking for a training solution. So we are really open to hear new possibilities, new things, new problems that we can solve with this technology, and we are pretty open to that, because there are a lot of things and a lot of behaviors that we can improve through virtual reality. This is pretty much all the things that we have here on the deck. As I told you before, you can check the website, and there you will have a lot of content, videos, and everything. And obviously, if any of you have any question, we are here to answer them. So feel free.
Thank you, Marc. Thank you, John. That was very good. And we just opened the hand raises. So if anyone has a question or want to comment something and ask something for our guests, please push the button on your right down side for raise hand, and then you can talk to us. Oh, I'm gonna start with a question. When you approach new companies and new organizations to like sell the product, how do you identify the companies that might need the product? How do you get them? How do you get in touch with them? How does it work?
Yeah, we have obviously different kind of approaches. I would love to say that it's the other way around. I mean, that the companies see this kind of events or Twitter or other media, and they came to us. Right now, it's not as easy as that. So what we are doing is we are trying to identify what companies can have training needs, especially those that they are solving with pretty archaic ways. I mean, a company that has pretty risky procedure, and they are training it with, I don't know, PowerPoints. This is like the company that we can help.
Right. That's good. We have a question from VR Girl, Jean. You can talk now.
Well, this is very fascinating, but I don't think I quite understand how it works. What do you see when you have the headsets on?
Okay, it's pretty simple. When you have the headset on, the trainee, he's going to see somebody that has a cardiac arrest on the floor, and you need to perform a CPR procedure. I mean, when you are going to see here the body of the people that is having a cardiac arrest, and when you touch it, you are going to touch the mannequin. So you are going to feel that you are touching a real person, and you need to perform a CPR. In order to do that, you need to grab a defibrillator, and you need to put everything on place. You need to call the emergency number and start doing all the procedure. But the good thing here is that all these simulations are made in a way that allows the trainers to control the situation. So there will be a trainer with you in this session, and the trainer will be helping you to understand how to perform. And in the last stages, the trainer can evaluate if you have all the knowledge apprehended or not.
So it's guiding you throughout the whole process.
If you want, we have a lot of issues generally in order to trying to transmit what are we doing, especially to people that are not aware of VR. So we have created like a lot of content, especially on YouTube, and you can search for it, because there are some videos that will give you a pretty clear idea of how are we performing this kind of trainings.
Thank you, your girl. That was a good question. Yeah, that was interesting, because it's hard to know how does it work when you don't know the real life experience of it, because for me, I am a CPR instructor, so that's what I do. I instruct people in real life with a mannequin to do the CPR, and I use VR. So for me, it's very clear how it works. But of course, even my colleagues that are CPR instructors, they don't really get how it would look for the trainers and the trainees that are using the system. It's very interesting because when you have to try it to see how it works, and it's always impressive to see the reaction of my colleagues because they were fascinated with this kind of system because that's the same one we presented to in my hospital. And they were fascinated with it. It's very immersive. It's like when you put the glasses and you enter this room and you see everything here, and then you can see the real person on the floor. And different from here, if you touch an avatar here, you don't feel anything. But if in this case you have a mannequin, an actual physical mannequin, so when you touch the chest, you feel the chest, but you see the person in the VR. So it's really immersive. It's very good.
Yeah, and finally the point here is that we need to let the people experiment because as told you, Jose, it's really hard to get the people, especially people that didn't know about VR before, to get them an idea of how this works. It's really, really hard. And for me, I think that's a really, really good question, VR girl. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to have any questions? Because we are getting out of time already. We have like 5 minutes and we're gonna have to close. We might have in the future another event with Ludus team, with the Ludus team. They're gonna try to create a room for us to experience the simulation environment for next time. It's gonna be interesting. Now,
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
we're gonna close the presentation. If you guys want to say something else, or we can close
No,
out.
yeah, we just want to thank you guys for having us here. It was like a really big pleasure for us. And if anyone want to reach us, there are our contact details. And thank you very much for being here this afternoon.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
I would like to invite Donna to close the session.
Well, that's a bittersweet task at this point. That was a wonderful presentation. We all learned so much. So thank you so much for coming to speak. To speak in ALTSPACE. And again, I just want to note that some of our speakers, they come in to share expertise with us, but they're not necessarily familiar with ALTSPACE. So we have one person, we just want to acknowledge that you guys did an amazing job maneuvering in ALTSPACE. I just want to say a final thank you as we close out. These events don't happen without sponsors. So just a shout out and a thank you to HP for being an Infinity sponsor for Univirtual Experience, which is the partnership between Educators in VR and Virtual World Society. HP Higher Education, HP Virtual Reality. Please check out information about them at hp.com. We're so grateful to them. We're so grateful to Engage VR and Avantis Education for being our Galaxy sponsors for this 30-day Univirtual experience. I also want to mention our stellar sponsors, and the list is longer, so just bear with me because each one of these organizations is supporting this conference, and we're hoping and encourage you to check out their websites, and please check out the exhibit hall. There's many events happening in the exhibit hall between now and the end of and to May 30th, and you can learn more about each one of these sponsors as well. So Grove XR is an educational learning platform. Dr. Angelina Dayton, who is the founder of Students in VR, we know her as the VR lady. Frame VR, web XR browser-based social creative educational program. You'll find them at framevr.io. LearnBright, if you haven't checked them out, please do. LearnBright.com, and it's Bright, BRITE. So learnbright.com. There's a couple of sponsors that after our conference started, they saw what was happening here and they asked us if they could join on as sponsors. And of course, our answer was yes, thank you. And that is LBX Immersive and Waking Dream XR. We're so thrilled to have them on board supporting this experience. My name is Donna McTaggart. Donna McT, everybody knows me as. Let's Meet in VR is the name I use in the background for producing and hosting events, and it's my thrill to be involved in this amazing adventure. And last but not least, I just want to thank Tony Cope Studios, who is working with the videographers. We have volunteers that are filming these events that you can rewatch sessions, or you can maybe watch sessions that you missed. And so thank you so much to the volunteers that are filming and to the moderators. These events don't happen unless everybody feels safe, right? And moderators keep each event safe for all of us. And so a heartfelt thanks on behalf of Educators in VR and Virtual World Society. So I am going to officially close this event now and say, please check the calendar. We have so many more events happening in 19 different platforms. So you'll get to experience lots of different kinds of events. So with that, I'm just going to say thank you for coming, and we'll close the video. Thank you, everyone. I'll unmute you, and you are now able to interact with I'll take off on the stage blocker as well. You're able to interact with the speakers.